Welcome to Love X Revenge, where hidden truths meet powerful emotions, and every story reveals how love and justice find their way through even the darkest secrets. The rain had been falling since morning, turning the streets into mirrors of blurred lights and restless footsteps. Inside the small, crowded restaurant tucked between two aging buildings, the air was thick with steam, spices, and exhaustion. Plates clattered endlessly, voices overlapped, and somewhere in the back, behind the swinging kitchen door, a young man worked without pause. His name was Ion, though no one bothered to use it. To most, he was simply Dishwasher. He moved quickly, sleeves rolled up, hands red from hot water and soap. His eyes, however, told a different story, tired, yes, but alert. Observing, waiting. That night, a man in a simple black coat stepped into the restaurant. He looked ordinary at first glance, blending in with the late evening crowd seeking warmth and food. But his gaze was sharp, calculating. This was Zain Malik, the CEO of one of the largest hospitality chains in the country, though no one there knew it. Zain had built his empire from scratch, but recently, something had been wrong. Complaints, anonymous emails, reports of exploitation in smaller partner establishments. Most of his executives dismissed them as exaggerations. Zain didn't, so he decided to see for himself. He took a seat in the corner, ordered quietly, and watched. At first, everything seemed normal. Busy, chaotic, but normal. Waiters rushed between tables, the manager barked orders, and customers came and went. But then his attention shifted toward the kitchen. Through the small opening in the door, he caught a glimpse of Ion, moving faster than anyone else, handling stacks of dishes that never seemed to end. When the same boy appeared again 10 minutes later, still working, still silent, something felt off. Zain called over a waiter. "That boy in the back," he said casually. "Does he ever take a break?" The waiter hesitated for a fraction of a second. "He's new, sir. Works hard." "That's not what I asked." The waiter forced a smile. "Everyone works hard here." Zain didn't push further. Not yet. Instead, he waited. Hours passed. The crowd thinned. Chairs were stacked. Lights dimmed. But Ion was still there. Still washing. Still alone. Zain stood up and walked toward the kitchen. The manager intercepted him immediately. "Sir, kitchen is closed." "I just need a word with him," Zain replied calmly. "No need, sir. Staff is busy cleaning." Zain's gaze hardened. "I wasn't asking for permission." Something in his tone made the manager step aside. Inside the kitchen, the noise was deafening, water running, dishes clinking. Ion didn't notice Zain at first. "You've been working all day," Zain said. Ion turned, startled. "Sir, we're closed." "I can see that. When did your shift start?" Ion hesitated. "Morning." "What time?" 7. "And now it's almost midnight." Ion looked down, returning to the dishes. "It's fine." "No, it's not," Zain said quietly. There was a pause. Then Ion spoke again, softer this time. "If the manager sees me talking, I'll get in trouble." Zain stepped closer. "What if I told you I could make sure that doesn't happen?" Ion studied him carefully, as if trying to decide whether to trust a stranger. "You don't understand," he said finally. "I can't lose this job." "Why?" Zain asked. Another hesitation. "Because I'm not getting paid." The words landed like a blow. Zain's expression didn't change, but something inside him shifted. "What do you mean you're not getting paid?" Ion swallowed. "They said it's training. Said I have to prove myself first." "For how long?" 3 months. "And how long have you been here?" 4. Silence filled the room. Zain felt a cold anger rise within him. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was exploitation. "Why didn't you leave?" he asked. Ion gave a faint, bitter smile. "And go where?" "I send money home. My mother needs medicine. My little sister, she goes to school because of this job." "But you're not even getting paid." "They promised they would," Ion said. "They said next month. They always say next month." Zain clenched his jaw. "Do you have a contract?" he asked. Ion shook his head. "Any proof?" Another shake. "Of course not." Zain took a deep breath, steadying himself. "What's the manager's name?" Ion's eyes widened. "Please, Don't make trouble. I'll lose everything. Zane looked at him, not just at the tired worker, but at the quiet strength beneath the exhaustion. You're not going to lose anything, he said firmly. I promise you that. For the first time, Ion looked uncertain, but hopeful. The next morning, the restaurant opened as usual. The manager strutted in, confident, barking orders before even checking the floor. But something was different. At exactly 9 a.m., a group of well-dressed individuals entered the restaurant. Behind them was Zane, no longer in a simple coat, but in a tailored suit that commanded attention. The manager's smile froze. Sir, welcome. I'm not here as a customer, Zane said. The room fell silent. I'm here as the owner of the parent company that funds this establishment. The manager's face drained of color. I've reviewed your operations, Zane continued. Or rather, your lack of ethics. Sir, there must be some misunderstanding. 4 months of unpaid labor is not a misunderstanding, Zane cut in sharply. The staff exchanged uneasy glances. Zane turned to his team. Audit everything. Payroll, contracts, records. Then he looked back at the manager. And you're done here. The manager stammered, trying to defend himself, but it was too late. Within hours, the truth unraveled. Not just Ion, there were others. Workers underpaid, overworked, manipulated with false promises. It was a system built on silence and fear. Zane made sure it ended that day. Back in the kitchen, Ion stood frozen as everything unfolded. He couldn't believe it. The man he spoke to the night before was the CEO. Zane approached him once more. It's over, he said. Ion blinked. Sir, you don't have to say anything, Zane interrupted gently. You just have to decide what you want next. Ion looked around, the same kitchen that had drained him, now suddenly different. I just wanted fairness, he said quietly. Zane nodded. And you deserve it. A week later, the restaurant reopened under new management. Contracts were issued, wages were corrected, systems were put in place to prevent anything like this from happening again. And Ion, he was no longer just a dishwasher. Zane had seen something in him: discipline, resilience, integrity. He offered him a new position. Not as charity, but as opportunity. Training, education, growth. At first, Ion hesitated. It felt too big, too sudden. But then he remembered the long nights, the empty promises, the silent suffering. And he said yes. Months passed. The boy who once stood behind piles of dishes now stood confidently at the front of operations, learning, leading, becoming more than he ever imagined. One evening, as the restaurant buzzed with satisfied customers, Zane stopped by quietly. He watched as Ion handled a difficult situation with calm professionalism. A small smile appeared on his face. Looks like you've found your place, Zane said when they finally spoke. Ion smiled back. You gave me the chance. Zane shook his head. You earned it. There was a moment of silence, filled not with tension, but with understanding. What made you come that night? Ion asked. Zane glanced around the restaurant. Because sometimes, the truth doesn't show up in reports. You have to go looking for it. Ion nodded. And sometimes, Zane added, you find more than you expected. As Zane left, Ion returned to his work, not as someone struggling to survive, but as someone building a future. Because in a world where power is often misused, it only takes one person to uncover the truth and change everything. And sometimes, that change begins in the most unexpected place, behind a sink full of dishes, where a silent worker dares to keep going, even when no one is watching.